How's everybody doing today? I'm Zac with Husbandry.Pro, and this is our episode 6 of Let's Talk Husbandry.Pro. Today we're going to cover getting started, and we're going to go through a nice overview of what to do once you've done the onboarding and the tutorial. We'll cover the onboarding and the tutorial, and what do you do next? A lot of people get there and they're like, well, I did the onboarding, I did the tutorial. I want cool labels and I want to click buttons and I want to do stuff. So we're going to cover all that today. We've got Holly Russell from Texoma Exotics in the backstage. She's helping me out. Everyone say hi to Holly. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We'll take questions as we're going throughout this. Holly will highlight them for me, and I'll try to get them as we go. We're going to start right here with one of my demo accounts. And before we go through the very beginning, I want to answer one of the things that I get quite a bit. They start asking me about activities or putting in an animal, and I'm like, well, did you do the tutorial? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, did you skip it? And they're like, well, yes. We strongly encourage you do not skip this. This is going to help you set it up. And if you did, and you haven't been messing with the system or anything, but you're having trouble, you're going to come right here. You probably won't even have a picture yet, but this is where your profile's at. And you're going to go to your profile. Scroll down to the bottom, and you want to reset your onboarding and reset the tour. Here we go. So this is the first screen you're going to come to whenever you've just set up your account. You've gone in, you put in your information, you put in a coupon code, which we'll have floating in a banner down here in and out throughout the show, which will give you 2 free months to check it out. And once you've put in your coupon code, it's going to bring you here. And if you're a man, you're just going to click that button right there. You get this nice little pop-up. No, go back to tour. Yes, that's what you want to do. Just fight the urge. So we're going to go through all this. So this is just your little welcome message. Talks to you a little bit about it. I'm not going to take too much time on this stuff. We have other videos where we'll do in more detail. And this shows you, like right here in your profile, this is where you change your colors and your layout. You can go to dark mode, different color settings if you don't like the purple and white. This right here is talking to you about your dashboard. If you don't see that whole thing, just scroll until you can see it. I've got everything zoomed in so it shows up right on camera. So this shows you can modify all these dashboard panels. And that's these panels right here. That's what they look like. You can change them all in a different setting. And it shows you where, under settings, dashboard panels. This is your system notifications down here. If we have anything major happen, it's going to pop up down here. There it is. Animal settings. You need to select which types of animals you plan to register into the system. You can modify genetic tables, create custom animal types, genetic tables, and change order for the drop-down lists. You need to enable at least one animal type prior to adding any animals. And when we go through and do the onboarding here in a second, we'll add our first animal types. But that is in your animal settings. We love the settings section. Activities. This is going to be, you're recording weights, reproduction, follicle development, feedings, sheds. Those are all your activities. You can turn on and off and also create custom activities. You intend to log for animals using these settings. Make the activity, have it appear in lists, and change it to primary, have display prominently when either scanning a QR code or selecting the activity action button from the animal list or page. Once you start working in the system, some of this stuff that you're like, what? Just read it again, read it. It'll make a little more sense when you're moving through, but your activities, you need to turn on what's going to happen, the activities you use, because there's tons of them. And you don't want 50 activities turned on that you're not going to use. If you don't record feedings, you don't turn that on. If you don't want to record weights, you don't turn that on. If you want to record every time they make a cute face and yawn, well, you can set a custom one for that. Not everybody's going to want the yawn one, so it's not one set in there by default, but you can do that here. Rack cage setup. This is a good one too. We had a video on setting up the rack view that I believe Jeremy did. You can go back and look that one up, and that'll go into more detail on setting that up. But you can create racks or cages using this page. You then assign your animals to a rack or a cage. So if you'd like to use this and you have lots of racks full of animals, you can set your animals up like that. So it's a nice cosmetic view that you see in front of you. Your feeder list. This is super awesome, especially if you feed frozen thawed. If you want to record feedings, you will need to add at least one type of feeder to your feeding inventory. You can then select this feeder as the default feeder item for an animal to expedite feeding activities and recordings. So like, you're setting up new babies. You set them up as they're eating a rat fuzzy or whatever food size they're on. On some of our quick feeding options, you're able to just click feeding and it'll automatically put in that size that you put in as a default size. And then there's screens where you can log feedings and you can customize, change, and update all that stuff as well. All right, page 9, explore. Explore all the options in the system and look for tooltips. The little eye right here, you're going to see that in a lot of places. Click on that eye. It's got useful, good information, usually where you see it. It's places where people have frequently asked us for questions. And videos to help files. A lot of people don't even know we have these, but you can see it in the background here on the dashboard. That's a little video link. If you see that anywhere, you can click that and it will give you a little video of what is going on with the screen that you're on and that you're currently looking at if you're needing a little bit more of an explanation. If you have any questions, you can visit the Husbandry.Pro user group on Facebook and ask other users for help. You can also reach us through the support system. If you go down to support, you can put in an IT ticket for anything that you feel might not be working correctly. If there's a bug, you just simply can't figure out how to do something. Those are all ways that you can get your questions answered. We appreciate you deciding to use Husbandry.Pro for reptile record keeping needs. So if you've watched this, you can skip that part. But if you didn't watch this, you're not going to know that I told you not to skip it. So who cares? This is your onboarding. This is very important. This is the one where you're setting up your initial system for what you want to do. And you can do all this stuff later, but if you just go through and do it here, it kind of holds your hand through it and makes it much easier. It's instead of throwing you to the wolves. If you skip this, you're going to be thrown to the wolves. Step 1, welcome to Husbandry.Pro. Let's get started. Hey, that's our title. Would you like us to help set up your animals? No. Warning. Go back. Would you like to exit the onboarding program? Oh, no. I'm going to let y'all help me. Okay. Yes. All right. Choose as many or as few animals as you want to start with. What animals will you primarily work with? If you've got something that you use, I usually recommend just go ahead and do it now. Get this out of the way. For our sake, I'm going to go ahead and pick everything that I use. I got boas. I got ball pythons. I got corn snakes. I've got other snakes. Got rid of my western hognose. No more hognoses. Bull snakes, crested geckos, gargoyles, king snakes. I've got lots of king snakes. Got some short tails. Got some carpet pythons. I don't know if anyone noticed that. We have added carpet pythons. It is live now. Gopher snakes. And I've got some other custom stuff that's not listed here. I'm not going to go into all of it because I've got a lot of stuff that's not listed here. But we'll throw one in just for example. Okay, so if you've got stuff that's not listed here, put it in now. It's easy just to go ahead and get it out of the way. And it's going to help you later with labeling all your animals and stuff. Because when you go to put your animals in the system and you try to put in that, what am I going to put in here? When I try to put in my white lips later, it's not going to let me. I'm not going to have an option for a white lip. I'm going to have to stop what I'm doing, go dig through the settings, find the animal settings, and add it in. I know I've got white lips. Go ahead and add them real quick. Actually, boom, right there, northern white lips. Just pretend I typed it out. I typed that one really quick too. And this is it's not a lizard. This is a snake. It's going to fall into one of those categories, typically. And they lay eggs. All right, so I added in a custom one. Common name already exists. Okay, it's not going to let me add it in because this is on my test account. So, but that's how you would set it up. Uncheck that. Activities you want to use. Now, this is a big one here. There's lots of stuff here. You have the same thing. You've got other custom. Now that I'm looking at it, I think it's only going to let you add one from here. You do have to go into the settings to add multiple, but it shows you how you're going to add one. And go through and do your basic stuff. I'll just click a couple ones that I know I use. Grooming, I use copulation, follicles, ovulation, prelay, reproduction, weight. So I love create invoice. If you do sales and you're going to be selling your animals and anything more than a pet level account, go ahead and turn that create invoice on. You're going to love that one later. Note, pairing, refused food, fed, photo, skip feeding. Okay. Litany of food items here for you to pick from. I'm just going to pick a couple random ones. This is my test account, so it doesn't matter. You can add custom ones in there later too as well. All right, so it's going to walk you through setting up your first animal. My first animal's ID is Bob. I can't even do it. I can't even pretend like that's really a name. I just can't do it. There we go. Okay. So I set up my animal ID. That is one of your required fields for all your animals. All right. Woo! I'm ready to start up with my made-up animal. He's the 699th snake in that clutch. And it's going to take me straight in here to that first animal to set it up. Apparently, that was a carpet python. No. So now here's all your options that you set up before. Oh, it does not show up. Well, when you click on this right here, there's a drop down that's popping up. It's not showing up on the shared screen, but you would pick your animal type, put in your animal ID for your first animal, and go through and set this up. And so this is going to be your general screen for your animal's information. We'll cover it in more detail on another one, but you put in your basics, like your animal ID is going to be required. You've got 3 options there for sex. There's not really a whole lot here that's required besides the animal ID and the animal type. It's going to make me put in an ID. Okay, I set on a new animal. Once I click save, it's going to take you here. And this is what your default animal list is going to look like, minus these little quick filters. And here's your animal. And you're going to have your one little animal here. And then you're done. You've walked through the whole tutorial. You did the onboarding. You did the intro. What do you do? And that's what we're going to cover now, is what we do going forward once you get here and you've got one animal on this screen. Let me take a little breather real quick and see if we've got any questions on anything. Okay, we don't see any questions, so we'll roll along. So once you got your animals in here, I'm not even going to go ahead and put my animals in yet. That would be your natural thing that a lot of people would want to do, is to put in more animals or record activities or do something like that. But I'm going to go straight and get the system set up first. I typically recommend you go straight down to settings. And yours is going to have a lot more options down here. And then your settings might be in a different place. It's going to be somewhere down in here. But hey, that's something you can change in one of these settings. This is your best friend right here, general settings. I recommend everyone go here. That now that you've loaded your animals in, you're ready to get started. I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to go through each and every one of these. I'm not going to submit y'all to the painstakingness that is me going through each and every one of those today. I'll make you submit to that later on a different day when I go through each and every one of these settings painstakingly. But your general settings, this is like super important. If you don't go through and mess with anything else, if you went through and you set up your animals in the beginning and all your animals were there, good. All your activities you wanted were there, good. And you're just more of a baseline user. You got 5 to 50 animals, pretty cut and dry on your species and stuff. You can ignore a chunk of these settings. If you decided to click that you wanted to skip the tutorial and you clicked the warning sign, you're going to have to go through here and you need to go through all of these settings. So, but everybody needs your general settings. Lots of good stuff in here, like how you want your date and time. You know, what day starts the week for you. A lot of this can be different for different countries and stuff, like the, you know, Fahrenheit versus Celsius, you know, your feeding notifications. And you'll get down around here and you'll find some random stuff that you have no clue what it means. Look at it anyways. Just look at it. Use decimal numbers and weights. Well, that one's pretty obvious. Oh, yeah, no, I don't. Because I don't weigh anything super small. You got some little bitty tiny frogs. Maybe you want them decimal points on. You weighing them frogs in tenths of a gram. I don't know what do frogs weigh. Anybody got some frogs out there? But go ahead, just go through here. If you have a notepad, take note of anything. You're like, oh, what's that? That doesn't make sense. When you're going through the system later, it'll all start making sense. But most of it's pretty cut and dry. You know, like low feeder notification. Do you want a feeder notification? Do you do frozen thawed? Do you want to know whenever you're down to 15, 20, 10 feeders left? You can set that up. Turn it on. Go into your feeder section. You can customize your notifications there for the feeder section. But this is going to be the basis of it. And one thing I do want to touch on before I move on to the next area is this one right here. And you can see it's like 5 full scrolls down. I'm a counter. It's OCD. Leave me alone. Use URL public accessible QR code. A lot of people are like, what is this? Okay, so this doesn't allow people to get inside of your system. This allows you to have any QR code on your system set up to show this information down here. When I turn this off, you see all that disappears. By default, this is turned off because we're not going to default let people come up and see information on your animal. You're going to have to go in here and set this up. And if you're selling your animals and you're using your animals in any production fashion, you're going to want this on. And so you don't have to reprint all your labels and all your QR codes later. Do this in the beginning. Come down here, turn it on, set up the settings, what you want people to see. So anyone can walk up, they can scan your QR code from their phone with the camera. No, they don't have to have the app. And it'll pull up basic information about the animal with a button that says that they can contact you. So they can scan your animals at expos or something like that and get info. In an emergency, should something happen to you, any firefighter, police officer, emergency personnel, a member of your family can come up and scan these QR codes even without having your password to the app if you have this turned on, and at least know what your animal is. Know if this is a deadly species in here. Know this is a male or a female in here, and that would make beneficial to them. But it really helps a lot with selling your animals. Turn that on. I'll ramble on it for a little bit. You want your public QR code on. And you want to save changes when you're done. Like here's your dashboard panels where you can change stuff around. Lots of cool stuff. Subscription settings. You probably don't really have to mess with this in the beginning because this is going to be, oh, look, my subscription's not due yet. This is going to be after your trial's over. Or if you started and you have been using the system for less than 30 days, use coupon code Parpart60. Come here to subscription settings. Under settings, put Parpart60, apply. And that's going to extend your 30-day trial out to 60 days. So you get a 60-day free trial. You do not have to put in your credit card information to get started. It might be there in that screen, but you can skip it. Just put in your coupon code and rock and roll. Animal settings. Oh, what did I do? There we go. So here's all your animal settings. I'm not going to touch too much because if you set up your animals right and you had like, you know, your standard collection, you've already set up your animal settings that you're going to use. I will briefly touch on this because this is where you're going to set up all your stuff that you don't have. I might have mentioned that in the beginning, I think I mentioned it's only going to let you put in that one custom one. So if you're like me and you've got several custom species that aren't listed, you see all of these blue ones here are ones that I've added. All the purple ones are one by default. And you can actually see some that are blue and purple as the system's grown. You know, they've come through and added them in that I had to add in myself in the beginning. But you can go in and add all these custom ones on. And if you don't have these animals, you just keep them turned off. I've got some lizards. I've got some snakes. I've got those turned on. You want something different. This is really awesome. I've got a friend of mine who uses this for his isopods. So you can come right here and add a whole new group for anything you can think of. I know a guy who uses it for his dogs. I know people who use it for different types of bugs. And there's a user for vehicles. I mean, anything you can think of can be custom added from this plus button right here. And then whatever you add here and turn on, oh, sorry, went too far. Whatever you add here and turn on is going to now be available down here in these groups. And so you can look at your individual groups here. Number one thing people ask me, how do I add custom genetics? Well, there's a few different places you can do it, but you can do all of your animal setting stuff from the animal setting screen. And bearded dragon. Here's going to be your genetics table. These are all clickies, default. And so I can look here and see all the genetics they have available. Oh, I was going to add 0. They've already got it in there. I don't need to add it. But I didn't see Lake Winnebago. Oh, I forgot this plus button. Nothing working. There we go. It's a place. Just trust me. It's a recessive. It's definitely a recessive, I feel like. Boom. So now I just added a custom genetic. So when I'm picking animals, I can label Lake Winnebago. And if I pick that, it's going to give me the option to label that as a POS het, 66% het, 50% het, you know, and everything that would come along with the recessive tag that goes with it. Like ball python. See, like this is the one I added. I like the yellow belly / asphalt. So I can tag that now as a genetic. And you can also go in here and you go into the default one. We haven't released that yet. Once it's done testing, you'll be able to turn those off. So you'll be able to go in here like, oh, I don't use 210 hypo. And you'll be able to toggle that off and it won't show up in your tree anymore. We should have that ready soon. But yeah, that's where you go set them all up, add up all your new species and everything like that. Profile settings. This is your good stuff. Nothing personal there. Probably should have checked that ahead of time. But yeah, here's where you can add all your stuff, you know, your business name. You set up most of this whenever you sign up. This is going to be also where you reset your tour and your onboarding. A couple good ones I wanted to touch on over here. Linktree. This is where your Linktree is at. This thing is awesome. And you can go in and set this up however you would like. You do get a Linktree here with your account. Someone may call me a liar. It might be a certain package level. I'll have to double check on that. But I do believe it's most levels get access to the Linktree. And that is a service that comes with your Husbandry.Pro. You create your public business card. This is going to allow other users to find you and message you through our user-to-user system, which is over here somewhere. User-to-user messaging system directory. Whenever people look at your store, they're going to see the information that you have in your public business card. What's up, Mission Morphs? Push notifications, that's a good one too. Make sure you save your changes in here when you're done. A lot of people like this. This is going to be for your app. Download the app if you don't know already. iOS or Android, you can download the app that goes with it. It's good. I use the app for my cell phone. You can do anything from the app that you can do on the desktop. Some things are easier. Like if you're adding your whole collection in the beginning, I usually recommend a desktop. It's a little easier, but you can do everything on the cell phone through the application as well. So you can set up your custom notifications here, or well, you can set up your standard notifications here. Ooh, I don't want to get notifications from this account. settings. Let's go back to our, where are we at? Profile settings. Yes, there we go. Okay, so that's your profile settings, scanner settings. Default, it's going to be set by default. It's going to go to your QR code. So if you're using the application, you go to scan something, it's going to open up your cell phone camera. I think that's how most people are used to using it. If you do not plan on using the application, you're using this from a desktop and you would like to use something, oh, looking at the wrong screen. If you want to use something like this, like a hand scanner with your laptop or desktop instead of a cell phone, then this is the screen where you would actually go and change that at, and you would do your handheld scanner right here. You will have to change that back and forth whenever you're going from using your cell phone versus using your handheld scanner. So just do be aware of that. I like my scan to beep. Beep. Activity settings. We briefly talked about that, but you can change colors of your settings. So your activities will show up in certain screens and they'll have a little bar or it'll be wrapped in a color. And you can actually, we just added this not too long ago for your customization people. And you can pick whatever you want. Oh, and it auto saves there. And so now anytime I enter a feeding somewhere, it's going to wrap it in that blue instead of whatever the standard color was. You can reorder your stuff here. So primary, whenever you scan a QR code for an animal, it's going to bring up a screen for you with a few options. There'll be some options at the top to like go view the animal, do a couple of, I don't remember exactly. There's 3 options. We can look at it when we get to activity part. There's going to be your activities, and there's going to be 1 to 5 to whatever you set up, and it's going to be whichever ones are your primary. If you collect the primary box on them, they should show up in that first panel. If you go past the amount that's going to allow you to show in there, I think it's less on the cell phone, it's going to go based off of your order that you have over here for them. And so the ones with number 1 copulation, that when I go to record an activity, that's going to be the first thing that shows up. Animal list button. If you want this on your animal list screen where you can just click a button to do it, say it's going to be the number 1 thing you do. A lot of people operate from the animal list screen instead of the rack view. I use the animal list view. I don't use rack view. And so I have some quick buttons here. I haven't set them up on this account yet, but I would do things like weights. I like there to be a button right there so I can just click the button when I'm going through and just wait. And you can enter in real quick. Some people do feeding. Especially if you have a lower amount of animals, it's easy. You got 5 or 6 animals, you can put a feeding button on there and just be like feeding. And it'll just auto-populate it in with the stuff that you need. So it's super handy. And down here, you can do like supplements, medications. You can add stuff like that. Here's where you add your custom activity. Here's one I set up before. I had a custom activity for reserved, that they were on a payment plan. Now we have hold status. This thing was set up years ago. Group activities. You can do this for like a group of animals. You can make groups in our system. And so you can set up activities like this group. You can set up custom activities for them. My creativity and imagination is failing me. I can't think of one, but you can set up a group activity right here for an activity of groups. Menu settings. Menu settings is a good one to touch on before you start diving into the program too much. And this is going to be why my stuff over here looks different than yours. You're going to have a lot of stuff up there. And I'm a power user and I still don't use all of this stuff. And so you have all kinds of stuff here where you can edit. You can edit this stuff. You can give it URLs. You can remove this stuff around. Oh, good, that shows up. Yeah, so you can like drag it around and do it how you want it. That's how you reorder your stuff. There's certain things you don't use. Let me see here. Like you'll notice my stuff isn't, this is what I have over there. Okay, this is what I don't. If I go over here, I'm like, oh, racks and cages. Why don't I have racks and cages? Well, I don't have racks and cages because I don't use the rack cage view. So I have it turned off. I want to turn it back on. I just go back up here and I click the add page. I only use some of those features, I can turn some of these off. So fully customizable. So what you're doing here is you're setting up how this is going to look. Settings on your menu settings, bottom bar settings. This is pretty much basically for your cell phone. You can change what your buttons are. These buttons show up on your application, and you can have them set up to do different things. You know, whatever your quick activities are. This is just the default, which is like incubation. It takes you to your quick activities, your animal list, or your QR scanner. But you might have a QR scanner just floating right here. Oh, hold on. You might have a QR scanner just floating right here. Like I have it in one of my settings. I have a floating QR code turned on. So every screen I'm in has a QR code right here, no matter what, no matter where I scroll. I can click there and go straight to my QR scanner. But that's another setting. Table settings. Table settings is a good one too. If I can click on it. Broke it. Oh, I think my internet was being bad. Hope I'm not lagging. Am I lagging anybody? There's somebody watching. Somebody's watching. Okay, table settings. So your table settings, your rack display, like, oh, if you use rack view, do you prefer to name your animals? Like a lot of people with lower numbers or collections, or even some of us, like I've got over 200 animals with names, and I like my name to show up. So I have that toggled on. So if I'm in rack view, my name shows up, but I don't use rack view. Select styles, border table, smaller table, table hover, table striped. I like my table striped. So whenever I'm looking at the animal list, it's a little darker, a little lighter, helps me to see stuff better. Some of us are getting a little older. Animal table layout, activities table. This is going to be all your tables. You can go through and you can see there's a lot here. I'm not going to sit there and talk on each one, but you can change how they look, what shows up. You can move them around. A lot of these settings will be in the individual pages as well. If you can't find a table setting, come to the table settings and it's likely it's over here. Panel settings. Some of y'all probably saw that in the beginning. Whenever I come up on my dashboard, I have this turned on. By default, I believe it's show only on mobile, but I like it. And whenever you have it turned on, it pops up right here whenever you log in on desktop too. If you, by default, this only shows up on your cell phone. If you like this, go and turn that on. Custom animal fields. What's that? King snake. Let's find out together, class. It's bananas. That's how custom this stuff is. You can make some custom stuff that, like, I didn't even know we could customize some custom stuff like this custom stuff. It's that custom. Add it to the search filter. I'm not clicking save on this. I'm about to break my stuff. Select all animal types, custom animal field. Huh. Yeah, this is pretty cool. We'll make a video on this. And then we're going to stick it right up here. And then you'll be able to click the little video link and see what it's about. Okay, so you've gone through your settings. What now? Now you're ready to have a little bit of fun with the system. Usually next, I'm going to go here. This is when I've got my settings the way I want it. I'm ready to set the animals up. And so I'm going to go through and painstakingly enter in all my animals. Hopefully you started using Husbandry.Pro when you only had a couple of animals. And you're going to just go right here to your add animal. And the only thing I'll point out on this screen is if you're doing something like going in and adding a bunch of animals, On where it says save changes, a lot of people miss this right here. Click that drop down and just go to redirect to next animal. And so you click on that. Once you click save changes, this screen's going to flash and you're going to be ready to type in your very next animal. And so you're just going to stay right here in that mode, and you can just plug them out one after another and just enter animal, enter animal, enter animal. And then whenever you get to the last one, you can click redirect to list page or redirect to view page. You can click to stay on the page. Just don't click save changes, stay on the page, and then try to type in the next animal because you just overwrote the last animal. Go to next animal when you're typing in new animals. A bunch of them. And so go through that. Now you've got all your animals set up. Fast forward. What are you ready to do next? Well, you want to start doing activities. You can do activities from this animal list screen right here. And they're in here. I can go through here. I can post activities. See, I've got a nice little litany of activities I can post. Oh, here's those options I discussed. You'll get the option for a quick view. And this is just a quick view of the animal that you're on. The last couple of activities that are in there, which is a sample account. So I've just got the one in there. I can go to cancel and get out of this screen, or I can go to view animal from here, which is just going to take me straight into the animal view screen. Or I can do feeding, pop up my activity. You can do some additional activities here. Is that box popping up? Yes, it is. Okay. So if you want to do multiple activities, some of these activities can be done at the same time. Not all of the activities show up for additional actions because some of the activities involve too much extra data. So you have to do a different separate activity for them. But, oh, I want to change it. This time they had a hopper mouse instead of a rat, but I don't want to do it next time. Just leave that unchecked. Oh, I messed up. They shouldn't have been on a weaned rat. That thing eats a hopper mouse. Oh, now I can't find my hopper mouse. There's my hopper mouse. That thing needs a hopper mouse. Let me go ahead and update that. So, all right, y'all just can't see my beautiful face. Oh, it's not even there. It's up top. Ah. Click submit. And I just updated the feeding type for that animal. And now I'm going to get a notification telling me that the animal needs a hopper mouse. You have all of your quick buttons, like where you turn on the buttons to add on there. Like I've got photos turned on because I like to add photos a lot. You can clone an account. So like I'd use this one a lot. Like you got a duplicate animal. You picked up 2 animals for a project that have the same genetics. I just clone it. Or, you know, I got one from this guy and there's like 3 genetics off on these 4 animals. I'll just go clone, 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 and I'll just update the 1 or 2 changes. And then it's a way to get animals in the system faster. Never clicked that before. Why didn't it work? Ah, there we go. There's your genetics. I'm gonna turn that off. I don't know why I have that on there. You can add a note. Cool stuff. So you can do all of your activities and stuff from this screen. But I imagine, if you don't know, I'm about to tell you, you can print a QR code that you can put on your enclosure, a notepad, wherever you want to put it. And you can scan QR codes to do all this stuff from an app instead of sitting here going through doing it all on a desktop. But if I was doing it from a desktop, this is probably how you're going to do it. You're going to do it from this animal list screen, or you're going to go set up your rack view and you're going to do it from the rack view where you're going to be able to visualize all of the racks there in front of you and click a row and highlight the whole rack at one time. You can do quick activities if you want to go through here and do a bunch of stuff to a bunch of animals at once. Make some animals actually show up in here. Oh, I'm filtered. That's why. So you can go through here to quick activities and you can do things like filter down through here, and that'll allow you to do things like highlight the whole row and do bulk activities like feed a bunch of animals. If you don't use the rack view or something, this quick activity screen is going to be one of your best friends. I use this quick activity screen religiously. I can enter the feedings for, because you can see my filters actually. I use active, on hold, and feeding do. And that shows me the animals that are active and the animals that are on hold that have a feeding due. And then I can go through here and highlight all of those animals. Selects them all for me. There's a lot of animals. I usually would filter this down by category, by a certain group type, like ball pythons or boas, and I feed groups at a time. Got 40 entries here. Oh, Skittles didn't eat. Let me uncheck Skittles. Scroll back up to the top. Everybody else, the other 48. I want to do a feeding. Don't want to do a pairing. I want to submit. And I can go through and I can change individual animals here in a quick screen. On a normal feeding, it's going to be as simple as just submit. And so click, click, boom. I just fed 40 animals. And that's going to be your bread and butter when you're working from a desktop. But we're in a modern age. Most of us are working from cell phones nowadays. And if you're working from cell phones, it's a lot to go through and click on these individual animals and stuff and have to do it. It's much easier just to walk up with my cell phone and scan a QR code. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your utilities and use the label designer here. How do you print QR codes? In the label designer. You're going to set up your label in here. There's another video we've done that'll show you how to set up your labels. You can look through that through our Husbandry.Pro podcasts. And while you're looking through those, click like and subscribe on all the videos. It helps us out a lot, and maybe someone will actually see these videos. If you're watching it now, click like, subscribe, get some notifications. You'll see this next time. You'll learn some stuff in case you missed me spamming you 50 times that it's coming. So you set up your label designer, and then you're going to go through, click next, next, next a bunch of time, and you're going to print your QR codes. And once you print your QR codes, you can put those in any fashion that you want, print them on stickers, print them on cards, cut it out, print them on business cards, print them on anything you can think of, print them on t-shirts, cut out t-shirts. It's going to work with everything. And put them on the cages, however you want to put them on the cages. You want something big, nice, decorative, make it in our system. Stick it on your cage. Put a QR code on it. QR code. That's going to be your bread and butter friend right there. This is where you're going to do your labels. So now you've gone through, you did your onboarding, you went through, you checked out all the settings, you went through, you put all your animals in, you've made some labels, you've got labels on your animals. Man, what else can I do with this thing? Well, the next place you're going to want to go check out, really the last place I'll talk about, is utilities. Utilities is one that now that you're using the system, you're at this point in time, you should be able to record feedings for your animals, record, any kind of activities that you're wanting to record, and basically use the system for the base uses. Put your animals in here, do your record keeping. It's all good. Well, what else can we do? There is a lot, and most of it's going to be under utilities. So I usually recommend you come here, spend time going through each one of these options here, and it'll give you a good idea of some things that you can do. If you are coming to the system, there's one thing I will touch base on. I probably should have touched base on a little earlier. You put in that first animal and you have all of your animals in a Excel format from some other program, or you just typed them up in Excel yourself. You can come down here under utilities to the reptile scan import. It needs to be in CSV format. It doesn't actually have to be from reptile scan as long as it's in CSV format, or you can use our custom import export and you can try to import your collection that way. It'll save you a bunch of time if you got a lot of animals, but we'll probably do a different video on that. So go through your utilities. I'm not going to go through them each and all individually in here. The label designer is probably the only one of these label designers you need to look at. These are older versions, the Dymo and the sheet label designer. And whenever you're watching this video, you might not even have these available as options anymore. This new label designer does everything those old ones did and then some. Cage cards, we're still doing cage cards from this cage card system here. We are going to work on updating that to the new system. But if you need to print them here, more stuff about your custom genetics, your companion apps. I will touch base on that a little bit. Well, that's just our apps there. Wrong one. Info sheet designer. This is a good one to go through and do. You want to pass out sales sheets whenever you sell your animals. Come in here, set up your info sheet, and look at that. See, like that's cool. You get a nice little template there of how you can set it up, and you can customize all that stuff. I'm not going to go through and do it, but that's where you would do it at. And that's nice things that we offer. Animal transfers, you sell an animal, buy an animal from another user, you can transfer it in. This does not have to be for a user. You can transfer any person who buys an animal from you. You can go here and transfer that animal out to them with simply their email address. They'll get an email telling them, hey, here's that animal. If you gives them a link to come to Husbandry.Pro. If they would like to use the app, they can sign up for it, or they can use a free account and they can get the animal information that way. And then can download it from there and copy it in any way, shape, or form they want to. So it is a way that you can send that animal in Husbandry.Pro to someone outside of Husbandry.Pro, and they have access to get all that data from it. Email log. You've got your email tied in. But there's lots of other things. That's when you're going to go through your utilities, look at your settings, use the support feature right here. Oh, we got some questions. Will that delete animals off of your animal list? Will what delete animals off of my animal list? I'm not sure on that one. But yeah, you can set your email up through here. Transferring them. Okay, so we're working on the settings for that. It doesn't automatically, we're not a big fan of automatically taking stuff off of your list. So, we may consider adding that as an option in the future. Currently, whenever you transfer an animal out, you still do have to go mark them as sold. I believe. I'm not 100% sure because we were going back and forth on that one. But I know that they do still stay in your system. And I do believe that they get marked as sold, but I don't think they get moved to the sold category. It's a good follow-up question for me. Kevin might know. I see you out there, Kevin. Hey, Kevin from A. Hey, it's Kevin. Hey, it's Kevin. We like Kevin. Yeah, use the code down there. Get 60 days to try this out. So another one I wanted to point out before we take a few more questions and then get out of here, so I don't bore y'all all completely to death, is the support system. So if you have something's not working right, you just can't figure something out, come down to the support system. This is your first line of defense. You've got our knowledge base, which is going to get you some basic questions. It's not completely up to date. We're working on that right now. So some of the new features might not be on there. If it's some new feature and you can't find the data on it, look down here in support. You can do a support ticket. We have a very fast ticket time. We usually will get you handled typically within 24 hours under most cases. And so you can put in an ad ticket and you can put in a support ticket and we can get to you that way. If you would like to make suggestions, that's also going to be on support. You can come down here to your suggestion board. There's two places we like to look for suggestions when we're making changes to the system and we're considering what to work on in the future. And we look to the suggestion board and we look for the thumbs up, thumbs down, for the comments, the reactions. You can see some of them have comments, some of them don't. And we're looking at that. We also go to our Husbandry.Pro Facebook group. It is the Husbandry.Pro user group, I believe is what it's called. I showed a link to it at the beginning of the video in the intro. And you can go ask questions on there. We do look there. If you post something up and it gets a lot of traction, other users want it, it's definitely something we'll look into trying to get it added. We do try to add stuff for people, and we're always looking for advancing it and seeing what people would like to have added to the system. Oh, okay. Kevin just checked one. It was automatically moved to archive. That answered the question. Yeah. So we did get that implemented. I was trying to push for that one for a while. So yeah. So now they automatically move to archive. You can unarchive them yourself now. So if you transferred one out and you did it by mistake, you can, in the animal screen, unarchive your own animal now. We used to have that limited, but you can go here, and if it's archived, you can actually search by your archived animals, and then you can select it and change it back to whatever status is, and then click submit. And so you can now unarchive your own animal. All right, let me see here if there's anything else I think you need to look over. A lot of it's just, you need some pro merch. Come down here, look at the merch. What kind of merch? We got some swag down here. Y'all need swag. Go look at swag, buy some swag. That's what you need to do. Your third-party data, this is where your spider web, if you use spider web, sensor push, slither sense, those connections are going to be under third-party data. Those are some good ones to look at. I did want to touch on those. Your morph market export. I use the crap out of this. So we don't have a direct link to morph market, but what we do have is this morph market export. You go and do if you're doing business on this platform and you're selling your animals and you're using it above a hobby level, then you need somewhere to sell your animals. We do offer a dedicated storefront on here, but if you like to sell your animals on Morph Market, we've got you covered there as well. You're going to export your data from this Morph Market export here, and you can filter, set up, what the animals you want to pull out, do your Morph Market export, and then once you export it, you literally just copy it and paste it into Morph Market, and it'll create your ads for you. It works with their system. If it ever doesn't work, put in a ticket. Sometimes they change their formatting to stop people from us, from doing stuff like this. But they have a bulk import option, so people can bulk import, and we make our export work with their import. So you can do that quickly. You can actually use this to update weights, prices, all kinds of stuff. The good thing about their system is it doesn't add duplicates. So if I already have FAC PHP1 in there as an animal and I just changed its price, I can do my export and just copy paste the entire file in there, and it's only going to update the changes. So you can just export, copy paste, upload, export, copy paste, upload. You don't have to pick out the one data, the one change, and it makes it a lot faster to update all your, I can actually update all my Morph Market animals by doing this through Husbandry.Pro 10 times faster than I can update them through Morph Market manually. And that's about the general gist of it. You've got in the system, you can kind of play with some things, get to use it. There's little features hidden here and there. There's different settings on a lot of different pages. You got a lot of settings here. Look for your cogwheels up here. Look for your videos, places where we have little videos at. Maybe I can find one somewhere. Yeah, places where you have little videos. Watch the video. It'll help you learn how to do things. And reach out to the community with questions. We're always here to help. Did anyone have any questions on things that we've covered in this thing? I know it was mostly me feeling like I was talking to myself. Yeah, any questions? We'll take any questions about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be something on this topic at this point in time. Rack views was covered a couple of weeks ago. That was covered by Jeremy, I believe. Jeremy from Warfels Morphs covered the rack view system. If you go to the YouTube down here, click like and subscribe while you're at it, and look up the Let's Talk series. We have one specifically dedicated to the rack view system and how to set it up. But that's a good one. Yes. A lot of people like the rack view system. Just reading through some of the chat here. We're creeping on about an hour. We like to try to keep these things under an hour. If anyone doesn't have any questions, we'll probably go ahead and wrap it up. I'll wait a couple seconds because I know there's a delay. But we appreciate everyone doing it. We have another one of these coming up next week. Let me get that information to you while we're waiting for any last-minute questions. Our next one will actually be our illustrious owner, Robert. Y'all get to see his beautiful face. Everyone loves Robert. He knows much more about everything than me. And Robert will be covering how to set up our e-commerce system. And that will cover a multitude of different things, from setting up your store, setting up your invoicing system, tying in Square, PayPal, lots of good stuff. So if you're looking to sell online and you have animals that you're planning on selling in the future, you will want to pay attention to this one. That's coming up next week on the 3rd at 8:00 p.m. Eastern, and that will be Robert Vandeclay, our owner. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to have a host, a co-host with him or not. Might have Kevin, might have his wife on there. We're not sure yet. We're talking about it. But so that'll be next week at 8 p.m. on the 3rd, which is on a Wednesday. Oh, yeah. So we got a Wednesday for our Wednesday people. We try to keep these things random so everybody can chime in. And that's why we take questions from anyone on anything. And we do juggle the time around. So if you can't make one, make another one. Throw your question in. Even if you don't have time to stick around, we'll get it at the end of the video and you can watch it back later. But I don't see any other questions. So just one more time, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you have a topic for something you'd like to see covered in a video, drop it in the comments. We do come back and read these. Shoot a message to the business page on Facebook or Instagram. And we're always looking for ideas. We want to hear from you on what you want to see. And we'll see if we can get it on here. And maybe you can get somebody, you know, who doesn't put you to sleep to listen, you know, to explain it to you. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and join us next week. Click like and subscribe. Everyone have a nice day.